I mean, Jamie, I got a picture I got to show you. This is so incredible, Jamie. There's a gal before and after picture. We got this food addiction stuff. So I interviewed a gal. She was 800 pounds, right? It's like, how do you get to 800 pounds? It's like impossible. Like I don't think I could do it if I tried, right? I mean, I don't, food addict, couldn't stop eating. And this is her,
Whoa.
she's almost 800 pounds, 350 kilos, which is 22 months she goes on carnivore, right? I interviewed her a while back, and she's now lost almost 500 pounds on carnivore when nothing else would work for her. I mean, she told me it was like, I finally found the off switch. She tried Weight Watchers. She tried like gastric band surgery. She tried vegan diet. She tried juicing. She tried Weight Watch. She tried every single thing you could think of, but could never stop. And finally, for the first time in her life, she's like, I finally found freedom from this food addiction.
All right. Good evening to people listening on my time zone, and good morning to people listening on Limitless Lindy's time zone. She is coming to us from Melbourne, Australia. I'm here in Cancun, Mexico. This is my longest time difference one yet, and I'm really excited. So thank you so much for coming, Limitless Lindy. Appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So a little bit of context for listeners. I have been extremely deep down the carnivore rabbit hole recently. I've mentioned that in a few episodes in the past, but in doing so, I have started at episode 1 of Shawn Baker's podcast, Dr. Shawn Baker. Many people have heard of him by now. And I have been grinding every single episode since the first one. There's over 1,000. There's a ton of episodes. And the one that to me was just the most mind-blowing and most inspirational is this girl right here, Limitless Lindy. She was around 800 pounds at one point and now lost 500 or so. And that is just so freaking incredible and so inspirational. And I'm going to stop talking now and let you tell your story. And why don't you start with just a little bit of your history? Because I know that your family history when it came to health was tumultuous from a very young age. So why don't you give us a little bit of background on where you came from and how this story started for you?
Yeah, look, I've been overweight all my life. My family is from an Italian background, and my father's side's English. And food was always a very important part of the Italian culture. Like they're the best cooks, nonnas. They cook really well. But whenever you're sad or upset or when he's celebrating, it's like always here's some food, the chocolates, the lollies, biscuits, beautiful cakes, pastas. Every meal was a celebration. You had the full spread on the table, and the whole family was overweight, friends, everyone was overweight. That was just normal for us. So it was never really, looked upon or my mum was always on a diet. She was always trying to lose weight, but never really succeeded with that. When I was about 25, I'd reached about 300 pounds, and I had tried quite a number of diets. Back in the day, they had like Gloria Marshall, and I can't even remember so many diets that I tried, and nothing worked. Went to the doctors, and they said, lap band surgery. We'll have lap band surgery. That'll fix everything. I'm like,
Real quick, what is lap band surgery? I've heard the name before, but
they put like a little ring and section of your stomach, so it basically makes your stomach the size of maybe a golf ball. So it restricts how much food that you can eat.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I've still got that in there. Like that was just over 25 years ago. So I had this lap band surgery. There was no real education or counselling or anything. It's just like, here we go. Surgery, was in one hospital one night, out the other. I did actually have to do some OptiFast shakes before just to help lose a little bit of weight to shrink my liver. That way they could actually get this lap band into me. I lost more weight doing those OptiFast shakes for the 7 weeks prior than I did with the actual surgery, which is mind-blowing. After surgery, they sent me home. I couldn't eat anything. Whatever I ate, it just wouldn't go down. I really struggled. The only things I could get down was ice cream. It was like just eat some ice cream, maybe suck on a few little bits of chocolate. You try eating vegetables, pureeing food. Nothing would go down. It was a real struggle. So it just kept going on as I was. There was no counselling, no sort of real follow up. I went in, they did weigh-ins. I did lose a little bit of weight, but I kind of just hovered. Obviously, I wasn't eating anything nutritious or nourishing. As the years went by, I just continued to gain weight. I did stretch the pouch, so my stomach is no longer just that golf ball size. I don't know how big it is now, but I still do have a restriction there. But I managed to get up over 800 pounds or, around about 800 pounds. I have no idea what my official weight was because my scales only go to 700 pounds. And I just had error for quite a number of years on my scales. So that was disheartening, obviously. I was in a really bad way, housebound, had to stop work because I couldn't fit behind the wheel of my car to go to work anymore. So I ended up working from home, and I worked full-time from home the whole time. And, if we had Zoom meetings and things like that, I'd just turn my camera off. I'd stick a Post-it note on the camera and just tell people my camera was broken. So nobody ever knew. It was like I was leading a double secret agent life, So, yeah, I still worked. I was so depressed, given up on life. I'd go to bed every night and I'd wake up in the morning crying because I'd woken up. Like I just didn't want to exist anymore. Mobility was, I'd walk up and down the hall and I struggled just to get around. Didn't leave the house very much at all. If we did go out, my husband would drive me. I barely fit in the passenger seat. Like having him changing gears, I was in the way because everything was just overhanging the seat. It was uncomfortable. So I just didn't want to go out at all. And where to now? Just my sister, she lost a lot of weight on keto and said, "Why don't you give this a try?" So I'm like, all right, I'll give this a try. And it was good for a little while. I was sending him pictures of my photos, of my food, just to keep myself accountable. And there was just too many temptations. You've got your keto lasagna, keto cheesecakes, and all these things which just reminded me of my comfort food. And if it's keto, it's healthier, so I can go for another portion. That's how my mindset worked. So that was just not restrictive enough for me. It still kept me craving all those foods, and I just kept falling off the wagon and just doing the real thing. And then I discovered Dr. Berry on YouTube, and he talked about the carnivore diet. And I thought, this guy is crazy. Like, just eat meat. He's surely going to have a heart attack and cancer. And then you see all these other influencers doing carnivore, and these guys look awesome. The girls look fantastic. There's something in this, and that's like what I was doing. I had one foot in the grave. So what's the difference? Try this diet. This is my last option. Give this a go. If it fails, well, I'm going to die anyway. So at least I'll die happy eating a steak or something. So it was my last resort, and I jumped into it 2 feet first. I did struggle for a little bit because obviously the family's not carnivore. They were eating Chinese and things on the couch next to me, and here am I with my steak. And although I enjoyed it, I still wanted what the rest of the family had. So I had a few, just little issues like that.
The memory of that taste is always still there, even if you're really strict.
And
it's still hard.
Honestly, I would eat that food and didn't even register. It was like I was numb, and I just ate more for the comfort, the habit of just sitting, and I wasn't even hungry. I would just eat it, and I was just constantly craving it. I never really enjoyed my food, which is, I can't say that now. I love my steak. I have it now.
Yeah, this is before carnivore, right? It was more of an emotional thing for you, right?
Yeah, I never enjoyed my food. I just had to eat it. It's just like that was my life. And I didn't have an off switch. I think that's what it comes down to. There was no off switch at all.
Yeah.
So I've lost my train of thought now. Sorry.
No worries. I mean, that's a great place to just quickly discuss just the shift in how your body works when you change your diet like that, because so many people have this false notion that carbs are this thing that we must have for energy, but all they do is just spike your blood sugar up and down like a roller coaster every time you eat, and just makes you more hungry, which is why people who eat lots of carbs start their day with a bowl of cereal, like I used to do for years and years of my life, my entire youth basically. And I just remember getting to school and I'm already thinking about lunch,
Yeah.
because those carbohydrates don't fill you up, they just make you hungry again. And when you switch that out for protein and fat, which is what humans have evolved on for millions of years, all of a sudden you have an off switch. And
Yeah.
you're a perfect example of someone who had just a faulty on switch that was just always like the hunger signal just kept coming in because you weren't getting the right nourishment your body really wanted. And
Exactly. Yeah, I truly believe that. 800 pounds, I was so malnourished, and that's my body just craving more food. It wasn't craving food, it was craving nourishment. I didn't eat a
mhm.
lot of meat, but have you heard the term um, carb coma? Where you have your
uh
carbs and you just want a siesta afterwards. So even though they say it's more of an energy spike, I never got that. I did want to pass out afterwards and have a little siesta after a meal. So
mm,
yeah, I still don't. Now I don't have that at all. I eat my meat and that off switch turns on and I go off and I do what I need to do. I enjoy my life. I am not consumed by food 24/7 anymore like I was before.
mhm.
Yeah.
And this is, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but for me, now that I just have such a stable variable that's controlled every day, where I have the same meal every day, I just had a couple steaks for dinner. It's consistent every single day. It's so funny how the people who look at us doing that, literally, I had friends in the house who are just like, "Oh, that's like weird. Do you ever get bored of that?" And to me, the idea of just having a constant, not having to think about it, is freeing. It's like the complete opposite of what the outsiders see, because I
Yeah.
know I'm going to have the same thing done every day, let alone the shopping runs. It takes like 2 minutes. I'm in and out. That takes
Yes.
a lot of time every week. But like beforehand, it took, you know, half an hour to an hour to go and find all the little ingredients and the right plants. I remember just going to Costco and mapping my adventure through Costco. So I got the non-perishables first, and then went to the other diagonal side so I'd get the other, the drinks, and then I would like try to time it so I got everything at the right time so it wouldn't go bad,
Yeah.
because the vegetables and fruit, get moldy by the time that, you get home basically. And I haven't wasted a speck of food from this, so I've saved. It's been more efficient. My body is super nourished. And speaking of the energy side, I'm totally with you on the naps. I used to be a napper every day. Well, maybe not every day, but
Yes.
I certainly would get tired after meals and just need like a rest. I need some break time. And now eating steak like increases my energy. Like I was just laying upstairs after my meal and my leg is just like jumping. Like I want to go for a walk right now. I want to go get some exercise. Like it's just, it actually energizes you. It really fills your body with the nutrients.
Yeah.
And one of the things we haven't even touched on yet is the ketosis of it, and the ketones. You're switching your and I'm not super scientific, so I'm going to probably say something stupid here, but the gist of it is, and I'm sure you've looked into this as well because you've experienced it on a very deep level. When you go from a carb burner, which is basically you eat the carbs and you burn that for energy, and it's like a quick spike in energy, versus a fat burner where you're eating the fat and then that activates the fat in your body, in your tissue, and you can use that for energy. So
That's right.
when someone is more overweight, they can fast for a long period of time because their body can just activate all that stored fat and use that for energy for an extended period of time. And you can't do that unless you're in ketosis. And
Yeah.
I can imagine that was a huge game changer for you. Am I right?
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of fasting. I did do a 5-day fast at the beginning of the year, just water for 5 days, 16 hours, and that was amazing. I felt really, really good. But I've been carnivore now just over 2 years, and it's taken me 2 years to get to the point where I could do a long fast. And I just think my body had a lot of healing to do before then, so I wasn't quite ready. So that was a big difference. And my ketones, I haven't really had high numbers until the fast, and then I was actually able to get some high numbers there, which was really nice. But I've still managed to lose weight. I do a lot of intermittent fasting, which is just naturally happens. I'm not hungry. I eat one, sometimes two meals a day. No day's the same. I just wake up. If I'm hungry, I'll eat. If I'm not, I don't normally eat till like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. It's 1:30 p.m. here now. I haven't eaten anything yet, and I'm not hungry. And I'll just keep going, not eating until I get that niggle, or when I'm hungry, I'll sit down and have something to eat. So no day's ever the same, and I take advantage of that intermittent fasting for some autophagy there as well. And that's how I sort of just live my life. I don't track anything. I don't track protein or fat. I don't need to now. That's a tool I can use when I'm closer to my goal weight. When I stall, if things need a bit of tweaking, that's a tool that I can use. But right now, everything's working. I'm continuing to lose weight. I'm down to 275 pounds this morning from around 800.
Awesome.
So I've still got a long way to go, but there's no rush. Like, it's been a really big change for me physically over the 2 years. My brain hasn't caught up with it yet. So if it slows down a bit and gives my brain a little bit of a time to catch up, I'm really happy with that. But I'm out of the house, I'm getting around, living life again, and there's no rush. Carnivore isn't a diet for me. This is for life. People are like, oh, what will happen when you go off and start eating what you were eating before? Well, I'm not going to get off this. I'm not going to stop. As long as my health is this way, why change something that isn't broken? I know I don't eat well on carbs. I cannot moderate my food. I'm an abstainer. I have to stay away because those carb cravings come back in. I find difficult to moderate the food. I don't want to be consumed by food ever again, and having that numb feeling where you just eat and you don't even realize you're doing it. It's just, you become a zombie. I don't want to ever feel that way again. So in regards to you saying people say this is restrictive way of eating, try being 800 pounds and tell me that's not restrictive. Like, this is the most freeing thing I can do. The simplicity of this diet, I really do keep it simple. I don't even do carnivore recipes. I see a lot of recipes and I'm just like, no. That's another thing that could be dangerous for me. So I stay away from any carnivore recipes. I just eat steak. I love lamb, beef. I don't do a lot of chicken or pork because they don't make me full. I don't feel satiated on them. I don't feel optimal on those. I might have a bit of salmon, maybe a few eggs, a little bit of butter. That's it. It is so simple, and the rest of my life is simple as well. And I love that simplicity. Mm.
Yeah, and if you enjoy the simplicity, there's no reason to overcomplicate it. And
Yeah,
you mentioned how keto, and for listeners, that's the short for ketogenic diet, which to this day I've listened to thousands of podcasts. I still don't know how to define it for you because it's a moving target. It's so vague. And one of
yeah.
my controversial opinions of the carnivore world is that keto is just so confusing. I'm so tired of it because at
Well,
best it's a
yeah,
stepping stone for people to get to carnivore. At worst, it just keeps people in this other layer of confusing like macro counting and keto treats and fat bombs and all these fluffy terms that don't really mean anything. I guess you can make a case that it's I mean it's certainly better than many other diets in the sense that it's finally getting rid of that stigma that fat is bad because it's a high fat diet. So I do give it that. However, the amount of energy is still being given to that by lots of high level researchers and podcasters and doctors really parading keto as this amazing new thing. I just watched this. I'm just thinking, guys, I mean, carnivore is right there. I
Yeah.
mean,
But there's a lot of people that can't restrict their food, and it works for a lot of people. If you can moderate your food, then keto is a great option. But I think when you get to that desperate place, when you've tried everything else and you can't moderate, then carnivore is definitely key for us. I mean, even like vegan and vegetarian, whatever, like we're all on the same path here. We all want optimal health. And whatever diet you do to get that optimal health, we should be praising each other, and if things don't work out, you just switch it up and try another diet. Like we're all in this together. We all want the same outcome, same goal. So, carnivore works for me. Now, I'm loving it. I'm loving this lifestyle. I don't want to look at anything else. Yeah, as I said, don't fix what ain't broken. And I was definitely broken before. So,
right.
yeah, this has been my
Tell
miracle.
what was a day in the life like at 800 pounds? You talk about how that was restrictive. I can only imagine. It must really just suck your world into such a confined space. And I can only imagine what that does mentally. What was that like?
Well, my home was my prison. I mean, I love my house and I do feel comfortable at home now. But you wake up in the morning miserable. I never looked in the mirror, or if I did look in the mirror, I wouldn't see anything. I was very numb to life. And most of the day, I wouldn't even get dressed because what's the point? I couldn't wear proper shoes. My feet were so large. I had a lot of, I have lymphedema, lipedema, so much swelling that I just wasn't comfortable in any clothes. I just wore my nightie and dressing gown everywhere. I'd come in here, sit down and work. I'd never ate through the day. That's the thing. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't eating from morning to night. And dinner time, my husband would come home from work and we'd sit down and we'd order takeout because I was too tired to cook. I couldn't stand up to cook. I had chairs all over the house. If I'm doing washing, I sat down in front of the washing machine, filled it up. I'd have a chair in the kitchen if I was doing dishes because I couldn't hold my weight. Walking up and down the hall, I was in pain all the time. Just the weight, carrying that weight is a lot of weight. And I wanted to change and I didn't know how. I tried so many diets. I was binging, I was purging, you name it. It was just nothing worked. It would work for a couple of days and then it'd just go off. Or there's always an excuse like you diet for a week and you do everything and it's torturous. And you would say, oh, my husband would say, oh, you've been really good all week. Let's have a treat. I'm like, yeah, all right. And then it starts to spiral again. And it's like, oh, Del, I've stuffed up. I'll try again next week. I'll start again Monday. And that's just that cycle. It just couldn't break it. But with carnivore, you just eat the meat. You, it took a little while, but within weeks, I had that off switch. And it's just like, I didn't want food anymore. And then if you were hungry, you just have a carnivore snack, or like I don't snack usually, I just have a meal, one or two meals, and that's it. I don't like to snack in between. If I'm hungry enough, I will have a full meal and then stop. It's like there's no focus on food anymore. I eat to survive. I don't live to eat. And my whole outlook on life, the way I view life and everything has just changed. I used to be really, really shy, like painfully shy. And here I am sharing my carnivore journey on YouTube. It's like this carnivore confidence and the carnivore calm now. Like things happen. I've got a lot of things going on in my life right now. And normally that would throw me into a world war it was just binging and drowning my sorrows in food, and I'm just not interested. It's just like I can take a step back, I can review what's going on, I can make better decisions, and carnivore is the only thing I can control in my life, because things happen uh, in life. There's so many hurdles, ups and downs, watching other people get sick, and family members and things that happen, and you can't control any of that. But I can control what I put in my mouth, and I am scared to let go of that control because it's the only thing I can do. And I'm proud of myself for getting through all these experiences, and just by keeping carnivore. So that helps to keep me on track as well. I love it. I love my life now.
And I can certainly speak for, man, countless tens, hundreds of thousands of people who are also extremely proud of you and just so excited for you because, I
Thank you.
mean, can you imagine talking to your old self saying, I know things are hard right now, but in 2 years, you're going to be on the Joe Rogan Experience having your story talked about, your face put up there, and Joe Rogan being like, whoa.
I know that happened.
That happened.
That's
That's you.
embarrassing. Yeah, because
What was your
Todd,
reaction when you saw that?
well, this is embarrassing because Todd, who is also on a journey with me, he's in the US, in Montana, and he's 700 pounds. He's now in his 400s. He's a year carnivore. And he was so excited. He's like, we made it to Joe Rogan. I'm like, who? I had no idea who he was. And he was like doing backflips and all sorts, so excited because he really, he loves watching Joe Rogan. And I'm like, who? So yeah, I felt really bad. And then, it kind of hit
As
me
big
then.
as he is, I
Everyone's,
feel like a Gen Xer in Australia isn't his target audience. So some of us forget that not everyone knows Joe Rogan.
oh, well, I've lived in a bubble for such a long time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I don't know things. The last, 10 years, I've just, at least, 10 years, I've been in this house in these four walls. I've started watching carnivore videos, but that's about it. No, so I don't know anything. And so I do feel a bit silly sometimes when people say, oh, have you heard of this person? I'm like, well, no. But thankfully, Google's my friend. I Google a lot these days and try to learn as much as I can. It's like a sponge. I want to learn so much. So,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
it's I'm sure that you can just feel that as you continue eating more meat, your brain just kicks into a new gear. And that was the biggest change that I felt myself. I'm only, 4 months in, so I'm still a total newbie, but
yeah,
for me, it was just the focus and the motivation and just the drive to get things done. That hit a whole new level for me. And I can imagine for you, where your physical body is extremely restrictive. A lot of people forget about your brain in that state. It's also really restricted because of all the carbohydrates that are just poisoning it.
yeah,
And as soon as you give it just start pouring on the dietary fat from the red meat, it just wakes up and just jolts to life. So in people that haven't tried the carnivore diet for 30, 90 days yet don't really know that feeling. Once they do, they get it. Because I've
yeah,
not talked to a single person that's gone on this diet and not felt that. Even if
yeah,
they have, the weird poops or the like my friend I started with, he had a little bit of fatigue for the first couple of weeks.
yeah,
There's some transition issues sometimes for certain people because you're completely shifting your energy source. That's a big move for your body. But everyone that I've ever talked to in 30 days and definitely 90 days feels a massive mental boost.
Well,
So
that's the thing. You are going off sugars and carbs. You need to detox. Whether you're trying to quit alcohol, nicotine, drugs, you go through a detox, and you're doing the same thing with sugar. They say sugar's as addictive as most of the powerful drugs out there. So you got to give it time. And people are like, oh, I've been carnivore a week. I haven't lost any weight and I feel like crap. And it's like, well, give it 3 months at least before you can make these changes. It's no different than giving up any other addictive substance. And yeah, it's just don't compare your journey to other people's journeys. Some people may lose weight to start, others may put on a little bit. It's more about the healing. And although I started my journey to lose weight, now reflecting back, it's the healing that I've got from being carnivore that is more important to me now. And the weight loss is just the cherry on top for me. So I definitely, I think you need to have the right reason. You need to be doing this for healing and nourishing your body. And then the weight loss will just happen when your body's comfortable and feels safe to let it go. And yeah, definitely divorce your scales. You don't need them. And even like my scales, they go up and down all the time. I've got lymphedema, so if it's warm outside, I have a flare up. If I exercise a lot more than normal, I flare up. But the composition, the body composition, I feel it in my clothes. I'm shrinking, even though the scale doesn't reflect that. So it's just another thing that's helped me deal with those scales. Now that I can read them, like I like to jump on every day and just make sure it doesn't say ERR. Like I still get a buzz when I see a number. It's yeah, I love the feeling, but you shouldn't focus on the numbers too much.
I guess a recommendation I would make for anyone looking to start this would be to just really analyze, go for a nice long walk and think about a couple of things. First of all, would be, what's your why? What are you doing this
Yes.
for? That's a big one. Another one would be potentially like goals. Some people like to have goals, and that helps keeps their eye on the prize. A third one would be like what kind of mind do you have? What's going to keep you motivated? Because uh like you said, for you just getting away from the scale is best. For me, I'm a gamer and I like beating a high score, so I'd be all over the scale, and that keeps me motivated. So
Yeah.
everyone's a little bit different, you know. I think that may be a little bit more of a male thing. Like we're really competitive. We have that like gamer mind of just like wanting to see the number go down. Like maybe for guys that'll be a little bit more useful. Who knows? Um,
Yeah.
just think about how you operate and what's going to help you the most. Um, Super cool. What and here's something that we've kind of tiptoed around. I'd love to get into this a little bit more. So, from the starting gate, you were at just your most constricted, most alone, and over time, you let's say that was your starting point, and now you're a freaking superstar. Everyone knows you in the carnivore community. Everywhere I go, you're being talked about as this awesome story.
Oh, am I?
And tell me about that journey going from alone to just being surrounded by friends. You told me that you first was Dr. Ken Berry, the first one you found for carnivore. That's right. What were
Correct.
some other influences that you both consumed content from along the way, and then eventually worked with other people? What was that journey like?
Yeah, Steak and Butter Girl is another one I followed quite closely. I loved her videos. She
She's awesome.
just, yeah. Lily Kane I was following for a time there, and ah, Dr. Chafee when he came out.
Yes,
Yeah, I
that's
was
my guy
following
right
Dr.
there.
Chafee. Yeah, yeah, I was in his Facebook group at the time, but he's no longer doing that. But I was a moderator there for a while. Um, but Steak and Butter Gang is where I sort of landed. I joined their community and camera off because I didn't want to show my face. I was very embarrassed, felt very self conscious, didn't want people seeing me as usual. And I just sat there in their little Zoom meetings. I have about 6 to 8 per month. They go for about an hour, and I would sit there and listen to all these inspiring stories. The coaches would be in there, just they're so motivational. And I found that really helped, but still struggled with all my family and just the comments, doctors and all that kind of stuff. So I reached out to Emily Harvo, she for coaching, and she was an angel. and Raymond Nazon actually jumped in as well. So I was lucky to have them both as my coaches. And that changed my life completely. They kept me on track, kept me accountable. I had weekly coaching. I did struggle with their fasting and feasting or priming protocols because I have the restriction of the lap band in place. And also I have no gallbladder. That was taken out when I was like 21 or something. So I had a lot of sort of issues that I had to overcome. But they were able to customize the program to suit me as an individual. And that got me going and on track. They gave me all the tools I needed to actually get out and do this on my own. And I still talk to them every day. I'm actually now a moderator in the SPG gang. So I'm in there in nearly every meeting I try to attend and just share my story and help motivate other people. I just want to spread the message that, if you're in that dark place and you've lost hope, you've tried everything, and have you tried Carnivore? Maybe this is what you need. And I'm speaking to quite a few people now, just trying to keep them motivated, keep them accountable. I'm like a little buddy. I just want to help everyone find optimal health and just get their lives back, because life's too short, and there's so much to live for. And I had given up, and I'm so glad that I finally made the move and I'm getting my life back, and I just want everyone to experience that. So yeah, the SPG is my home. I feel very safe and very comfortable there. Even though I was the unicorn in the room, I think I'm the largest one that's been through the system, or the community. But I love it. I feel at home there, and they're just so welcoming to everyone. And you have all sorts of people there. People that need to lose weight, people with autoimmune disease conditions, and you've got athletes who are bodybuilding. Like, it just caters for everyone. It's not a one size fits all. And you have access to coaches and doctors. I have a lot of the Dr. Chafee visits every month, Dr. Kiltz. They just cover so many topics, and there's a place for everyone there.
I'll definitely leave links to those communities in the show notes, because I haven't actually participated in those, but as I listen to the podcast, a lot of times those are recordings of the community meetings. So I can definitely
Yeah.
vouch that there's just so much value being dropped every single time. They are
Mm.
so focused on actually helping people. It's just such a crazy shift from what we're all used to at the doctor's office,
Yeah.
where it's just a very different experience of, well, why don't you tell us about your experience with doctors, or traditional doctors, I should say. How
Oh, well.
how does that contrast with what you see now in these communities with carnivores?
Well, I hadn't seen a doctor for quite some time. And then before I started Carnivore, I asked my husband to take me in. I wanted a full blood panel just to see it, so I could then start Carnivore, just to see what would happen, and have a doctor monitor what's going on, so that if there were any issues, they could sort of tweak it from there. Because I was still scared to try. I was still scared to jump in and cause more damage than I'd already done. So I went into the doctor, and she's like, "Oh, you need to have surgery, you need this, need that." And I'm like, "No." I was pre-diabetic as well. Like, they say pre-diabetic. I think I was fully blown type 2 diabetes, but because it's the first diagnosis, they call it pre-diabetic. But I was going blind. My inflammation markers were through the roof. They ordered a bunch of scans and said, "You need to have liver and kidney and all this. We need to find out what the problem is." And I'm just thinking, oh, it's obviously because I'm overweight, I'm unhealthy. I said, "Give me 3 months, and then I'll come back for another scan, and then another blood test, and then we can take it from there." And she's like, "All right." She didn't like the carnivore diet, but wouldn't let her win. So 3 months, I did strict carnivore with my coaches. Went back in for another blood test, and my pre-diabetes. I was no longer pre-diabetic. In 3 months, my eyesight had improved. My inflammation markers were going down. Everything was improving so much. And I'd lost 300 pounds, like literally 100 pounds a month. Now, before anyone screams, it's not fat. It's probably water weight. I had a lot of lymphedema. My whole body was swollen. So it was a lot of water weight, just inflammation that I lost. And she looked at me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Carnivore." Wow. And she was amazed. She looked at my blood results and she's like, "Everything's looking great. But when you fail, come and see me again because I'm leaving the surgery now. I'm going to a bariatric centre. When you fail, come and see me and we'll discuss surgery." And that kind of lit a fire in my belly. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come and see you when I've lost the weight and I can show you that I did this without you." But I did say
She
that to her
woke the
face.
beast.
Yeah. And I'm just like, seriously? Kick someone when they're on their way up. Like, I was feeling great. I was happy with myself. And she had to throw that comment in. And I was like, seriously. But I've got a new doctor now. And she's been great. She, again, not really supportive of carnivore, but she can see the changes. And I'm still progressing, still losing weight. My markers are all fantastic. And the last appointment was probably 4 months ago. She just said, "You keep doing what you're doing. I don't need to see you again for at least a year unless you change your diet or you break a leg, unless you've got something that needs fixing." So she's really happy with me. I got the blessings of the doctors now. So hopefully that'll convert them to consider carnivore as an option for some patients. But look, if I could have all this knowledge back when I was 25, I wouldn't have had lap band surgery. My life would be totally different. I'd be so happy and healthy and would have had a fantastic full life. And my family, we've had a lot of illness through the family. I probably could have extended their lives and made it a lot more comfortable, no suffering, if we had have known about this beforehand. So that's really my only regret.
And it's so sad how so many of these doctors really do want to help people, but they just have such a strong ossification of these guidelines they've been fed by Big Pharma. They're basically just not designed to seek root issues. It's all about what drug they can give you or what surgery they can put you through to make a bunch of money. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, the lap band surgery, I assume the gallbladder surgery as well, those both could have been completely avoided if they would have asked, "What do you eat?" And known to
exactly.
say, "Oh, maybe try eating the thing that our species has been eating since the dawn of mankind and put away
Yeah,
the carbs that we just started eating the last, blip of time. This is
yeah,
clearly causing the problem." It's crazy. And man, it just makes you so thankful for this new wave of doctors who just detach from that whole system, like Shawn Baker, Anthony Chafee, Ken Berry, Kiltz. You mentioned him; he's amazing. He's also up there.
yes,
And there's a whole army of dietitians as well. I've been watching Nutrition with Judy; she's amazing. Michelle Hearn. There's
yes,
so many coming out, and they all have very similar stories of being a part of that system and just critical thinking their way through, realizing it's not fixing the problem. And instead of just continuing to go along with it, they break out of it, usually at a great financial sacrifice. They go from making a bunch of money as part of the system. They completely eject from that and they start from scratch because
yeah,
they know that's not working and they need to do what they set out to do, which is help people. And when you're part of
yeah,
that old system, it's not giving people the care that they need.
yeah,
So I'm really optimistic that that is a growing trend. I keep seeing more and more as I'm diving deeper into the YouTube rabbit holes. I'm seeing more and more small doctors and even like med students and people who are like just starting out now, who are like interviewing, the Dr. Chafees and Shawn Bakers, and you can see them like starting to be like, oh my gosh, this stuff that I just learned like last week in class doesn't sound so right anymore. And so the seeds are being planted deeper and deeper. And as these people start making their way into medicine, that's when the fun's going to start. Because if
Yeah.
they bring the fire, that's where big change is made. Because now you're going to have people within the system who know that the last half century to century is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
And we can
And
start
look,
fixing these things.
it's never too late to start. I started Carnivore just after my 50th birthday, 52 now, and I've changed my life completely. So I hear stories of people starting in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, and they're getting their memory back and starting to become more mobile. Some were in nursing homes. I think Dr. Shawn Baker has a video of people in nursing homes. They can't live by themselves and they're going back home. They're able to look after themselves now. It's just amazing. And I wish people would do more research on their own and, look at these testimonies and look at these stories and really think about giving this a go.
And the testimonials are so powerful because
Yeah,
that is such a strong way to just listen to real human being stories. Because in a world where there's just so much noise around authority figures and guidelines passed down from these vague government entities and bureaucrats all over the place, by taking it down to the fundamentals of the human race, we are a social species. We evolved by sitting around a campfire telling stories to each other and talking to each other. So in a way,
yeah,
this is really bringing us back to that level of listening to podcasts. For me, hearing all these stories people telling, you can just hear in their voice how genuine and real they are and
yes,
how much of a transformation they've been through. And in a lot of cases, I put that way above what any quote unquote expert tells me any day of the week.
yeah, yeah. I truly appreciate the carnivore doctors for getting out there, starting these channels and giving us something to start our journeys with. Now I'm 2 years in and I feel pretty confident with what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. So now I don't sort of listen to them as much anymore, but I do listen to all the people starting channels. I love listening to everybody's stories. What are they healing? How much weight have they lost? Or just whatever they're there to talk about, just their experiences. And I love to chime in with my experiences. If something I have dealt with can help someone else, I just want to share that knowledge and just give people options. And I think, it's so important in this community.
We've reached the escape velocity of the decentralization of the information, which is
Yeah,
something I'm so excited about, because every single person having the ability to start their own platform, it doesn't matter how many followers you have,
no,
as long as you have your own little slice of the internet where, even if it's just you and nobody even watches it, just having that place where you can record yourself or write or do whatever you want to do, it really gives you a new level of accountability in your brain. Like it really helps. I know for me, it helps a lot to just start talking in the microphone or start writing a blog post and just be completely transparent with the big open space of the internet. And like that really tricks your brain into thinking, oh man, I need to do this now. Like
yeah.
I'm assuming that's a big part of it for you too. I don't know how early you started the YouTube channel, but you're doing it now and it seems to be really working great for you.
Oh gosh, my coach has asked if I'd be interested in sharing my journey. I'm like, no way. Like I thought this was going to be another failure for me. There's no way I can keep consistent with this and lose all this weight. So like I didn't want a bar of it. So I didn't have many photos, no measurements, nothing. And then 7 months in, I decided maybe it's time to share my story. I was feeling really good. Oh, sorry, not 7 months ago. And I did an interview with my coaches, Emily and Raymond, and which has actually went live yesterday. And
Oh,
so
cool. I'll have to go watch
7 months ago.
Oh,
And I
that'll be
was
fun to
watching
watch.
it and like I'd totally forgotten about it. But yeah, she's been busy and so she's only getting her podcasts up and going now. And I'm like, wow, is that me? Like this in 7 months, I've changed so much. And just looking back at my videos now, like if I go back to the very first video, like I think that interview was filmed just before I started my channel. So if I go back to my old videos, I can see the changes, not just physical, but mentally, I'm more confident. I used to read from a script and now I'm just like ad hoc, just blah, 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 and off I go. And like I've just evolved so much, so like all aspects of my life. And I'm just loving that new person that I see now.
Yeah,
So yeah, but
a totally
definitely
new person.
the
And we're
YouTube
so
channel
happy to
does.
have you because you bring so much life and radiance and energy to every podcast you join, and it's just so awesome that you have
Thank you.
burst into the scene of the world. And but because before that you were really you weren't able to do that. Did you feel like there was a powerful radiant Lindy just trapped inside of you waiting to come out? Because I can imagine that it just felt like you were stuck for so long, and just bursting out of that shell must have been just
I've
incredible.
always been very, yeah, submissive, never out there. I don't know. There's a lot of childhood things that sort of just kept me very shy. And all through my life, I'd always felt like the doormat. Everybody would come to reliable Lindy. Lindy would fix it, Mrs. Fix It. And I just didn't feel like what I had to say was worthy enough. So I just kept quiet. But now I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not keeping quiet. If I don't like something, I will say nicely. I don't think that works for me. Like I'm never rude. That's just not me. I still am a nice person, but I am allowed to say no. I don't have to bend over backwards for everybody because nobody does that for me. If they don't want to do something, they say no, and that's okay. Like, not a problem. But I'm allowed to say no as well. And I think people respect you a lot more when you can be like that. And I think that's probably a big problem of mine, that I didn't feel respected. I just felt like everyone was using me. And now I just, it's all different. I have a different attitude, different way with people, with life. I feel respected. I feel loved. And yeah, I never want to be that person again. I am loving everything now, and it's changed my whole life. So definitely not about just eating the right thing or just nutrition. It's the whole package. This Carnivore is truly a miracle pill. So the Limitless pill.
What's the story of that name? Did you come up with that, or did someone else inspire you with that one?
Oh, actually,
The
Bella from
nickname.
Steak and Butter Gang. I
Oh,
give her full
amazing. Perfect.
kudos for my name. She's like, "Oh, we need a name for you. It has to be LL, something Lindy." And she was looking for L words. And yeah, Limitless. My daughter actually said Lindy loses it. So I had a choice between Lindy loses it or Limitless Lindy. And I'm
That's
like,
another good one. That's not bad.
yeah. And everyone was going, go with, yeah, Lindy loses it. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're going to think I'm losing my marbles, which could be true. But I just like the term Limitless Lindy because, yeah, I don't want any boundaries on my life anymore. So I just felt that was perfect. So thank you, Bella, for that.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So,
I have two final questions for you, Lindy. First
yes.
one, tell me about the Expect a Miracle card and what it means to you.
Oh, okay. My mum was diagnosed with cancer. She had lung cancer, non-small cell lung cancer. Dates I couldn't tell you now. She's been gone for about 15 years, and she had cancer for 7 years. So I'll let you do the math. But she was literally given a few months to live, if that. and like it went to her brain. She was pretty sick. They recommended we put her into palliative care because she wasn't going to be around much longer. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And some strange, like I don't even know, somebody gave her just a little card, like a business card almost, with the words "expect a miracle" typed on it. And she used to keep it by her bed, stuck to the bedpost. And so every time you walk in there, you'd see this "expect a miracle." And this new drug came out called Tarceva, and she started going on that, and she got her life back. We bought a new car. She went traveling. She got 7 good quality years back. And yeah, that was a miracle. We thought, fantastic. Anyway, we lost Mum. I inherited that card and I had it on my computer, just on the corner of the screen. I'd walk in here every morning, see this "expect a miracle." And then I find Carnivore and I got my life back. And now my daughter, she's 33 years old. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 10, so 23 years now. And she's just been given the news that she's got stage 4 retinopathy disease. And she's gone blind in one eye. The other eye is just on the borderline of hemorrhaging. It's not very good. So I gave her my card. And she's now got it in her bathroom. Every morning she wakes up, she goes and touches the card. She thinks of Mum, she thinks of me. And we're hoping that this card works for her and that she'll regain her sight and, get some of her quality of life back. So that's the story of this little card. And I said to her, when she gets what she needs, that she can pass it on to someone else who needs it. But it's the power of just believing in something. The doctors have given her no hope, and you can't live like that. You've got to have some kind of hope. So if this little card just gives her that little bit of hope that, things are going to be good. It's worked for Mum. It's worked for me. We got our life back. I've got loose skin. Mum still had cancer, but we got some quality of life back. We weren't suffering as much as we were. Then hopefully it'll work for her as well.
And one of the things we were talking about before hitting the record button is how the definition of miracle can take many forms and be different for everybody. Yeah. It's not going to give you an invincibility shield and heal everything forever,
No.
But for your mom, it gave her an extra 7 amazing years. And
yes.
all of us are going to die at some point. So for her, that was an absolute miracle. For you, finding Carnivore is a miracle, completely turning your life around. And I'm sure your daughter's going to find something amazing that's going to help her. We've already mobilized the troops. I know you announced that on your most recent video, and the whole community has got your back, and I'm sure she knows they've got her back too.
The Carnivore community is amazing. I've had so many comments, support, some doctors reach out, all wanting to have a chat with her and just help us navigate this. Just give us some guidance, second opinion, if you like, because she's not having any luck with the doctors. They're like, don't change your diet, don't do this, don't do that. And, you're going to go blind and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, where's the hope? Just give us a little bit of a glimmer. Like, we know it's grim, but maybe it will work. Give it a try. This is emergency DEFCON level. Just give it a try. If it works, yay. If it doesn't, well, at least we've tried everything. Just don't write it off. But yeah.
And even just being motivated to really give it your all and enjoy what you have even more. Sometimes that can be the miracle,
Exactly.
Just really appreciating the other things you do have. So
yeah,
that's a beautiful heirloom you guys have going, and it's I feel like a lot of people could use something like that, something that just gives them a little extra push. So it's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Lindy, what is your closing message for the world right now? Let's see. I'm trying to think of the people who could most use this. I would say there are sure a heck of a lot of people out there who are feeling stuck, whether it be physically or mentally. You have been through such a crazy journey going from the rock bottom to superstar and an awesome community and just being loved by everybody. And I want to hear what you have to say for those people who just feel helpless right now. What should they be thinking about, and how do they get out of this rut they're in?
Oh, I've always been one to do things on my own. You don't have to do this on your own. There's a fantastic community out here. Reach out for support. Reach out to me. Reach out to SBG gang. They're fantastic. I couldn't have done this without having community support. I've met some amazing people. Todd and Michael, if you have a look at my channel, we connect every day and talk. We're all sort of very large people and share a similar story. They've come from depression as well, so a lot of mental struggles as well. Community is such an important part of my healing journey, and you don't need to be alone. You just definitely reach out and do your research. There's so many wonderful carnivore doctors, carnivore stories. Read all the comments, the testimonials, and be inspired and motivated by that. It's definitely been fantastic for me, and yeah, I'd love everyone to be able to just give this 3 months at the very least, and I'm sure that you won't turn around and go back. Once you start feeling that limitless life, you just want to keep going. So yeah, reach out.
Amazing. And I completely agree with just being open myself. If anyone ever needs to reach out, needs a little extra kick in the pants, I will fight off the spam bots of the Twitter DMs as hard as I can to get to your messages. It's rough out there. And all those communities you mentioned as well. I'll throw a bunch of communities in the show notes for anyone just looking for people to talk to, because if there's anything that the carnivores for sure are good at, it is just being open-minded and welcoming with open arms for people who are looking to heal themselves. And it
Yes.
is truly crazy how many different things I've heard that people have healed from just cutting out carbs and sugar and adopting what our man Dr. Ken Berry calls the proper human diet of meat,
I know.
fatty red meat, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is his mantra he pushes. Anthony Chafee is a little bit more toward the beef, salt, and water. Both of those are going to be a huge step up from whatever you're having now. Throw the salad away. You don't like that salad. Stop lying to me. Start eating some meat. You're going to have a
Yes.
great time, I promise.
Absolutely.
Limitless Lindy, you rock, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a wonderful chat, and I look very much forward to continuing to follow your adventure. I know you're not finished yet,
No.
and I will be watching all updates from you. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. See ya.